So hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of the new and improved Kavernacle podcast. Some of you guys who have been subscribed for a long time might remember I used to have one with my girlfriend Holly, but it just became quite hard to organize it and I just put my time into videos instead. But this year I've been planning to bring it back and I thought I would wait until I hit 100,000 subscribers, which I did today. You're probably watching this a week after I hit 100,000, but I did hit it today, the day of the King's coronation, so I guess that makes me King of the UK. But I thought what I was going to do with the podcast now is I was going to kind of do maybe seasons because I didn't want to really force myself into doing it forever if I didn't really like doing it. So I thought if I break it down by seasons throughout the year, that might help me stay on track a bit. And obviously my voice is probably not as, I don't know what the word is. You know, you have different voices for different things. This is my podcast voice where I have my video voice as well, where I'm more in presenting mode. I guess it's quite similar, but I'm not going to be talking as loud. But anyway, so I thought what I would do is I would do maybe 2 podcasts a month and I'd have one on my second channel and one just for the patrons because I'm trying to think of how to make my Patreon I guess have better benefits for people, and I'm so grateful everyone's so supportive. So I thought maybe one podcast for everyone, one podcast for the patrons, and maybe have more input from the patrons on the patron exclusive one. Let me know what you guys think. Although I don't really want to hear people talk about how I shouldn't have it on Patreon. It's my decision, so just respect that, because I have seen some people saying I shouldn't put anything on Patreon because I'm paywalling stuff. I don't really understand that logic, to be honest, because it's just bonus stuff. 3 videos a week, every single week for 2.5 years now. Is that not enough content for most people? But anyway, today I want to talk about my journey to 100,000 YouTube subscribers, because 100,000 is you've made it on YouTube, because you even get a YouTube plaque. I'm probably still waiting for my plaque when you actually watch this video, but a lot of you might be new subscribers. A lot of you may have subscribed to me 6 months ago, even a year ago, and you don't really know much about my channel or know much about me because you haven't been around. And I actually started my channel in early 2017. I started doing it properly in early 2019, and I started doing it full time in early 2021. So the purpose of this first podcast is just kind of to talk about myself, talk about my YouTube journey. I might do another one where I talk about how you can become a YouTuber maybe. But yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I'm 27 years old, born and raised in London. My grandparents were all Irish immigrants to the UK, and my parents were both born here, grew up in well, my mum grew up in a working class household. My dad was a bit more middle class, went to a same school in a pretty bad part of London. It's a bit better now. And I grew up in a kind of similar area, a bit of a nicer area, but went to school in a place that was close to where they went to school. And yeah, I guess I spoke about that a lot in my videos, my Irish background, growing up in a diverse area of London, going to a diverse Catholic school. And yes, I was raised Catholic, like pretty much every Irish immigrant in the UK. Went to church, was even an altar server, absolutely hated going to church. And I'm pretty sure I never believed in God, because I'd always just sit in church thinking well, why don't I feel like he can hear what I'm thinking or hear what I'm praying? Anyway, that is kind of relevant because with my YouTube, so inspiration for YouTube is something I guess most of us have had, because who hasn't wanted to become a YouTuber or a TikToker or a social media influencer at some stage? But for my generation, 27, we grew up with YouTube. I remember first going on YouTube when I was maybe 10 years old, maybe 9 years old. And I have wanted to be one since I used to watch Machinima, Inside Gaming, etc, all that stuff when I was 13, 14. But when I was about 15, 16, I started really getting into TYT, obviously hosted by Cenk and Anna and a host of other people, some of them from that time who have gone on to terrible things like Jimmy Dore and Dave Rubin. But why I liked it so much was because it told me all about American news. And as a kid, I'd always been fascinated by history. I loved World War II history. I loved just war history in general. I absolutely loved it. I would get up early, even in primary school, to watch the news about Afghanistan and Iraq, because I was so I don't even know what the word is because you're a kid, but I was interested, fascinated. I really wanted to learn this. And as a student in school, the teachers never told me I was good at school. I was a B student for the first year 7, 8, and 9 of secondary school. And only in year 10, when we're doing our GCSEs, did I start to actually get really good grades in like geography and history. And I would actually get some of the best grades in the year on certain things in history. And I was actually really, really good at it because I absolutely loved it. And then I did it for A level, got pretty good A levels in history, got my A in history, went to university and did my history degree, did a lot of American politics, did a lot of other stuff. And then I did my master's in international relations. And I watched like TYT a lot throughout that period. I also started consuming more like New Atheist stuff, which I spoke about in my New Atheist video a couple weeks back. So my politics were quite weird growing up. But like, because I had that Irish background, I was like pretty supportive of Irish republicanism. And I was also supportive of Bernie Sanders when he announced in 2015 he was running for president. But then I've made a whole video about this as well. I voted Conservative in my first election when I was 19. Now, the one caveat I will make is the person I voted for at a local level wasn't like some crazy xenophobe racist. They'd actually been a doctor who had treated like leprosy in like Africa, I don't know what country, and also treated people in Gaza and stuff. It wasn't like some crazy person. But back then, I think I was just brainwashed, conditioned by my love of history. And I think I can make a whole video about how loving history and loving it after learning about it through like institutions like school and university really sets you up to be right wing, because you think like, I know everything about history and most people don't. Therefore, like, I understand that we need the military, we need nuclear weapons, we need all this stuff. Like, all those lefties just are emotional. And people like us, the historians, we're factual and we can see things like through, I guess, like a longer lens. We can see what will happen in the future. So we need things like nuclear weapons. We need the military. And in that sense, I see someone like Ed Miliband for Labour, who I still hate, but hate for different reasons. And I'm like, this guy is an idiot. He's out of touch. I can't vote for that party. So I didn't. So that is very funny because, of course, now when I was like 23, I was basically an out and out communist. So, and I still am today. So it was like a weird evolution. But in that, I was still just obsessed with consuming politics. And in that hypocritical worldview, I guess what I thought really was Britain is better than the US. The US needs Bernie Sanders because it needs universal healthcare. It needs to scale back the military because it's really bloated. It needs all these things, right? But in the UK, we have that. And David Cameron and that kind of Tory party were trying to be like the heir to Blair, as they were known. Like, there's more like centrist version of politics, which is kind of died recently because, especially with the Tory party, it's just insanely far right these days, where Cameron was kind of trying to like modernize the image of the Tory party and make it more like Blair's Labour, like, and a sort of centre right version of that centre left party. So that's kind of why I fell for it. But like I said, I just think I was, and this sounds really stupid, I think I was too clever for my own good. And I was too clever for my own good, and I was still a kid. I was 19 years old. I was still a dumb child. You know, I've been raised in a middle-class environment, never wanted for anything really. Like, I wasn't spoiled rotten or anything. Like, I didn't get things given to me. My dad always was like, you got to like work for the things you have. Like, I wouldn't get a new phone because a new phone had come out and I wanted it. It'd be like, you wait for your birthday, you wait for Christmas, or you go get a job and you save up. And like, that's what I did when I was like 16 till I was like 18, saved up for different things that I did, worked at Twickenham Stadium on like match days to do with rugby. But I was still very, very privileged. And because I was smart as well, that's why I would have these arguments that would make me lean more like centre right than, I guess, leftist. But then I could still support people like Bernie Sanders while also admiring Irish republicanism and liking Che Guevara, right? Like, I don't even know what my politics were. Contrarian, maybe? I don't really know. I think I was mainly brainwashed by like British exceptionalism and thinking like we were better than other countries. Like, we were more tolerant. Gay marriage had just passed in like 2014 by the Tory party. We must be better than other countries. But then what really like shattered my illusion of, I guess, the UK being tolerant or moving past its historic xenophobia and racism was Brexit. For many people, this is like a radicalizing moment in like either direction. And at this point, I was firmly like moving away from like the New Atheist dogma. Like, I still kind of watched them, but I wasn't as like, you know, anti-religion. I'd kind of become more comfortable in my philosophical views, religious views, and more comfortable in my political views. And then 2016 comes around and I am more leftist now. Like, I would never vote for the Tories in 2016. I voted for Sadiq Khan for Mayor of London, and I voted Remain for Brexit. And also, that's not even a hard thing. You don't even have to be a liberal or a leftist to do that. David Cameron campaigned against Brexit. So did most of the main parties in the UK. And what I saw with Boris Johnson, Michael Gove, and Nigel Farage, who led the Brexit campaign, was just a campaign built on lies and xenophobia. Like, literally, you would hear adverts on the radio fear-mongering about Turkey joining the EU. And what did that imply? Turkey joins the EU, so 100 million Muslims can come to the UK easily, or even worse, Muslims from Iraq and Syria, these war-torn places, they can come to the UK now through Turkey. It'll be so easy, and that's why you have to vote to end this, despite the fact all the facts said that Turkey would basically never be able to join the EU in the next 150 years based on the criteria. So I guess that campaign winning, run by these terrible people, really radicalized me to the left. Like, I didn't like Jeremy Corbyn when I was like 20 years old, but I always defended him. I remember writing articles for our uni's newspaper because he was constantly called an anti-Semite. And even when I didn't like him, I was writing articles defending him against these charges, being like, he's not an anti-Semite for saying, you know, criticism of Israel and stuff. And I was someone at that time, I actually, in my like Western chauvinism from the new atheism, I kind of like supported a two-state solution, leaning more to, well, Israel is kind of good because it's more secular and liberal, right? And that's the brainwashing of Western chauvinism. But thanks to things like Brexit, and also, like I said, I'm a massive hypocrite in this age because I supported Che Guevara and Irish republicanism while taking this weird centrist stance on Israel-Palestine, right? And then from there, Brexit wins, and then I just get increasingly more radicalized. Like, I'm like, this country, I've been brainwashed, I guess, to thinking it's better than it is because I've grown up in a liberal bubble in London, and I've grown up in a very diverse area. And in that diverse area, I've been tricked into thinking the whole country is like this. The whole country is tolerant. The whole country is this really cool mixture of cultures, and we all get along. And although there are problems, we've just elected, you know, this Muslim mayor of London. We're on the right path. And then Brexit is like, nah, most of England voted for Brexit, right? The country you live in, most of it voted for Brexit, not based on the merits of Brexit, because there are socialist arguments against the EU, which weren't made in this referendum. It was purely based on racism and xenophobia. Don't let anyone twist it and tell you that the Brexit campaign was based on anything but those, because I think the top Google search the next day was like, what does the EU even do? No one knew. No one knew. The average person in the UK didn't know. It was based on racism and xenophobia, and possibly a distant second reason of thinking, life is shit, I want something to change, it's all the EU's fault. But like I said, the argument being made was, it's the EU's fault migrants are coming over and stealing your jobs. It wasn't, you know, certain things about how EU runs businesses or tying like your economy to the European Union and stuff. It was just, yeah, immigrants bad. And in that, I started to become more leftist. And then I was really happy when Jeremy Corbyn got, not an election victory, but in 2017, he did fairly well in the election, and Theresa May took a huge L. And then from there, I just started becoming more leftist. And actually, after the election in 2017, that's when my YouTube channel went into full swing. I'm not going to pretend I started making like communist content straight away. I'm not going to pretend I was at that stage, but I was definitely more leftist than I had been when I started my studies in university. Like, I went in 2014 as a centrist, centre-left, I would say, broadly, but I supported some more conservative things. And then by the end of it, I was pretty much left. But then I still had the new atheism stuff to deal with. And I actually, when I started my YouTube channel, it was primarily about religion. It was about left-leaning atheism. But I still don't think I realised that this left-leaning atheism wasn't completely compatible with like Sam Harris and Dawkins, because I still like what they had to say on certain things of religion. Like, I always disagreed with Sam Harris on Islam, and I realized early on in like 2014 what he was saying was very racialized in terms of like how he framed migration from the Middle East and how he framed certain issues. Just didn't make much sense to me, especially as someone who grew up in a diverse area. But I would be lying in that I'd say like it didn't influence me in some ways in my views towards Muslims, but thankfully I broke out of that fairly early. I wouldn't say I was perfect at getting away from all of that. But in late 2017, I started my master's degree at London University. I stayed at home and I drove into university. And that's when I really started doing YouTube. I wouldn't say really seriously, but fairly consistently. And I remember I'd do videos about religion, I would do videos about politics, I'd do videos about gaming, a lot of gaming actually to start with. And I'd just talk about like gaming drama. And I really wasn't sure what my channel would be because I love the Young Turks. The Young Turks are a massive influence on me. They made me start a YouTube channel in the first place. And at university, I had my own radio show where I talked about politics. And some of those radio shows were like my first videos on my YouTube channel. But then I was just kind of like finding my way, I guess. And I remember 2018 is where I started making videos, which I guess would set me on the trajectory that I found myself on later, is that I actually started criticizing Jordan Peterson and Elon Musk as well. In 2018, I'm an absolute hero. I knew before everyone else these people were bad. Now, Jordan Peterson was a weird one because I still paid attention to like New Atheism. People were saying, oh, Jordan Peterson, you got to listen to this guy. He makes really interesting arguments about like feminism and SJWs and trans rights. And then I remember that interview with Vice he did where he was basically blaming women for their own harassment at work. And I made a video responding to that. And I think it's still up on the channel. And it's probably like a really rubbish video compared to how I present myself now. But I remember, like I say in all these videos, I got so much hate for that. I criticized Jordan Peterson a lot and I would get so much hate for it. Because I guess I was still small, but I was kind of making content which maybe Jordan Peterson fans could kind of like. Because it's like atheist stuff, even though it was left-leaning atheist. But those videos gained some traction. And then I made more videos. You remember the Sacha Baron Cohen documentary about America and gun culture and stuff. I made a couple on that. They did pretty well. But I would still, you know, get videos that might go to 10,000 views, 20,000 views. But the next one would get like 90 views, right? So I was just really experimenting at this time while doing my master's degree. So it really wasn't a priority for me, but I was having fun doing it. And then, yeah, the end of 2018, I had a decent audience. I think I started live streaming fairly regularly. If you've been there since, you know, been a sub of this channel since then, you remember the Sunday live streams where I had like 4K subscribers. It was a lot of fun though. Like, I have to be honest, early YouTube was a lot of fun. And then going into 2019 is when I felt more comfortable with my politics in that I was just like a leftist now. Like, I wasn't any type of liberal, weird contrarian with left-leaning beliefs, whatever. I was just a leftist now, like anti-capitalist I was. I remember because I made videos about how much I hate capitalism in 2019, like very early 2019. So maybe it was late 2018 as well. And then I was looking for a job because I'd finished my university degree. I'd got my, you know, degree in December 2018. And then I just had more time. So I would like apply for jobs all week. I would do some freelance journalism on the side. And I'd make YouTube videos. And I was still taking it like fairly, not casual, but maybe 1 or 2 videos a week. They wouldn't be that long. And I remember in March 2019, and I would kind of say this is the start of my rise on YouTube. I had about 4,000 subscribers at this point. And then I was making videos and I decided like, oh, maybe a video about a British perspective on Bernie Sanders. Maybe that'd be a good one. And I made that video and it didn't blow up, but it got like maybe 20,000 views, but I got a lot of subscribers from it. I think I got like nearly 1,000 subscribers from that. And then I made videos about like a British perspective on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a British perspective on the Pledge of Allegiance, Second Amendment. And that's why my channel actually has a Union flag in it. Not because I'm some big patriot, I hate the UK. It's because I wanted my niche to be like, British person talks about American politics. Because a lot of Americans would say, like, how do you even know American politics so good? You're an English person. Like, wow, amazing. An English person who knows about American politics. Like, it was a bit of like a gimmick. So I was really playing into that. But that's when my channel started doing a bit better. Like, I hit 5K subscribers in like May 2019. Videos would do more consistent reviews, like 500 views maybe on average. And some videos do a bit better. And I was like, maybe this is the way. And what I started doing was kind of following in the format of Rational National, Humanist Report, TYT. I would cover American politics news style. And I did that for a while and I liked it as well. And it was fairly easy to pick out topics because, you know, the news happens all the time. Like, you can easily just, you know, what happened today? Make a video on that. Very easy. But the problem with this content, and I found this out because it's a grind. With this content, you're competing with the established people, like I mentioned, and also corporate news, and also YouTube actually doesn't prioritize your video because it doesn't trust the source as much. So if there are news stories covered by different organizations, an independent YouTuber with like no subscribers is going to be low ranked there. So I would do that and then still apply for jobs. And then I was doing the job hunt, and actually I started playing semi-pro football as well, which was like the most exercise I'd ever done in my life. And I was just really busy with everything, searching for jobs, going on job interviews, playing football, doing YouTube, and it really occupied my time and it was nice. And I was just dreading getting a full-time job. And I was like, for fuck's sake, I wish I could do YouTube forever, but I can't. I make no money. I have no subscribers. I don't get enough views, but I'm just doing it because I love it. And I'm doing it because I have a voice, and I'm doing it because I love having this voice, and I love, getting this engagement with people. I love talking to people about politics. And then I guess what happened is in November 2019, I actually got a job. And I remember I was quite sad because I was like, what am I going to do with YouTube now? Like 40 hours a week in the office, up London, nearly a 2-hour commute. I'd leave home at like 6:45, get home at 7 p.m. I'd play football in the week 2 times. I'd have a match on Saturday. Where am I going to find time for YouTube? And honestly, being a leftist and a communist before you actually join the full-time workforce is the most radicalizing fucking thing in some ways, but also you know what you're in for. Like, there was no honeymoon period at work. I hated it straight away. I hated it on the first day, and I'm like, this is life. This is life. And I fucking hate it. I have no time for my friends and family. I was also going through some pretty bad health problems at the time from stress, like neurological issues. Thankfully, I've got a lot better over the years. And I was like, I fucking hate my life. But one thing I was so insistent on, I was like, I want to do YouTube. I don't want to give this up. I don't want to give this up. And there was a moment where I thought I might have to give it up. Now, my girlfriend likes to remind me that I was going to quit. I was never going to quit, but I did say that I would stop trying to be a YouTuber. I would make videos like maybe once a week, and I'd be happy with getting like a certain amount of views. I'd be happy with my 7K subs, which I had then, but I wasn't going to try anymore. My dream of being a YouTuber was essentially dead because of lovely capitalism. I was going to commit, too much time to full-time work and football as well. No room for banging out YouTube. But then I just kept going along, making videos. I found it hard. But I'm going to shout this guy out on Twitter probably before this video even goes up. But the 2019 election happened. And Jeremy Corbyn obviously got crushed. The UK went insane. Like, calling him basically Stalin, anti-Semite, Jews would have to flee the country if he got in. Literally the most harmless man ever. A harmless, principled, anti-war, anti-racist. Versus a crazy xenophobe racist Boris Johnson. But Jeremy Corbyn is the bad guy. Got crushed in the election, and that really depressed me. But the silver lining is, Mike from the Humanist Report, and I only had like 7K subs at this time. Mike from the Humanist Report was asking if there's any British people who want to talk about the election. And I remember I was about to go to Ireland on a little holiday the next day, and my flight was early. But I remember Mike said, I reached out and he said, do you want to come on and talk about this? It'll be like 1 a.m. my time or 2 a.m. And I was like, okay, I really want to do this. And then I remember going for a run in the rain because I was so upset about the election. Came back and me and Mike had a good talk. You can go watch that. Type in Humanist Report Kavernacle, Jeremy Corbyn or something like that. So we had a really good conversation. And Mike probably doesn't even remember like talking to me here. But I always remember people who have been nice to me in my YouTube career. Mike is definitely one of them. And what was so good is me and Mike had a really good conversation. And I was really grateful he had me on despite me only having like 7K. And he must have had like 160K at this point, maybe even more. And then he spoke to me for about 30 minutes afterwards, maybe even longer. And we just spoke about like doing YouTube. We spoke about politics. And I remember saying to him like, what's it like doing YouTube full time? Like, I'd absolutely love that. Like, I hate my job. I'd love to do this. And then he was telling me like about what it's like. And I'm grateful because even if he didn't mean it, or if he did mean it, he said, you'll get there. He said, keep doing what you're doing. You can do this too. Like, you can do YouTube full time. I actually believe you can. And I'm not sure if he'd actually even watched any of my videos and he was just being like a nice person. But it was really nice to have someone have me on their channel and then tell me that, like, you can do what I do. It's not impossible. And then I went to Ireland with my girlfriend, and my 2 videos like flopped so bad when I was there. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, it's just going so bad. Like, my YouTube channel is just going so bad. It's no matter what I do, I'm just stagnant. Like, I started the year on 4K, I ended it on 7K, and it feels like nothing's going my way. So then we go into the new year. I start making videos. You know, I'm still going to my job. I'm hating my fucking life. And I remember I had like some decent videos, but even then I would have to like do some live streams and then just upload the live streams. And yeah, like it wasn't a good time, but I was gaining more traction. And what I will say is I was averaging 1K views per video and I only had 7K subs. And to me, that was good. I was satisfied with that. And I always said to my girlfriend at this time, if I hit 10K subs and get 1K, I'm satisfied forever. Like, that's all I need, because I don't do this for money. I do this because I like doing it. And but also, you know, I want people to listen to me. I feel like I have a good perspective and I want people to hear this and I want to talk about it with people. So yeah, the views were getting better and better. I hit about 8K in maybe February. No, I didn't. It must have been later. But anyway, but then obviously COVID happened. And I got to do my job from home. And this basically changed everything because you couldn't do anything else. Like, I'd work all week. Yeah, I'd exercise. Couldn't play football anymore. Couldn't even see my girlfriend. Couldn't see my friends. So what else was there? And then I had so much more time. And what I did was bang out YouTube. And as bad as, of course, the pandemic was for so many people, it was terrible. But in terms of my own personal situation, maybe I wouldn't even be a full-time YouTuber without it, because just the free time allowed me to pursue this. And I just took it really seriously. And also what happened during that time is I branched out more. I started doing like topics that weren't just political. It was like a real mixture of different things. And I guess I started making videos about like for alt-right. I started making videos about like far-right furries and bronies. And I was creating this like little niche myself. And I was kind of thinking, it was like, oh, that's a Kavernacle video. And one that goes viral as a picture all the time is, does the femboy community have like a far-right problem? Like, I see that all the time just pop up randomly, like on Twitter and stuff. And that's the niche I started creating for myself. And it actually helped. Like, my views would go up, get like 5K a video, maybe even 10K, sometimes 20K. And it was doing really well. And I feel like that is the start of me becoming a full-time YouTuber, because this was all going so well for me. These like more niche videos, I was only putting out 2 a week, but they were just, the response was way better. And I was covering sometimes commentary stuff, talking about like iDubbbz, Angry Joe. I did the politics of the gaming community, a 3-part series, and all the videos did really well. And I uploaded them one after the other. Sure, I wasn't getting subscribers as much, but I was firmly like creating this like niche for myself. And then thankfully in August 2020, I hit 10K subs. And this was just like the best feeling. I felt so validated because I'd started doing my YouTube channel in early 2017. In late 2017, I started taking it seriously. And only in August 2020 did I hit 10K. For a year, I think I was stuck on 4K. Between the start of 2018 to March 2019, I was literally on 4K the whole time. And now I was actually gaining traction. Videos were doing well. I was enjoying it more. And then sadly what happened, because my boss was an absolute monster, just a terrible person, she ordered us to go back to the office in August 2020. Think about your own work experience, work from home during the pandemic, or, you know, we're still, I guess we're kind of not in it anymore because of the WHO, but whatever. And think about when you went back. I went back in August and then hated my life again. I guess I didn't have football and stuff. I didn't have as many responsibilities, but I didn't have as much time for YouTube. And then at this time, she's never going to watch this, someone I went to university with, I remember I was at my job, just fucking around on the computer because I was procrastinating and stuff. And I had a really good friend at work who I sat with, and he knew about my YouTube. And then this girl I went to university with, she is like a YouTube host for like gaming stuff. I wouldn't say we're friends, but we were like mates at university. We worked on the same entertainment magazine. And then she got this job as a new personality on this like gaming YouTube channel that I watched when I was at university. Like, I watched this channel when I knew her. And then when I was at my full-time job, I was sitting in the office And I see this announcement and I'm like, holy shit, like I'm so jealous. But I was not jealous in the way like I deserve that, you don't. It was like, no, you obviously really deserve this because you're talented at this. And I'm really happy for you. I'm just so jealous because you're doing something really cool and I'm stuck in this office doing this. And then I remember saying to the guy next to me, if I quit my job and did YouTube full time, put in the hours I'm putting now into the YouTube channel, I know in a year I could do it full time. I know in a year I could make as much money at this crap job, which I'm making like no money at this job, like 21k a year. I knew I could do this. And this is in September, so we grind on. And then in late October, they announced another lockdown for the UK. And my boss says, no lockdown for you guys. You got to keep coming in. I get an absolute huge argument with her. Like the whole office hears it. And it's one of my finest hours because basically I don't blame anyone in that office. A lot of them like lived in London with extortionate rents. They needed this job. I lived at home with my parents. I didn't give a fuck about this job, but I did remember how hard the grind was to get a job in the first place. I spent a year looking for a job. So I wasn't like ready to walk out the door straight away, but we had this massive argument. I was like, you can't just defy the government. And then she said shit like, you should be grateful you have a job. And that set me off. Don't tell a communist I should be grateful I have a job. And she grew up in the fucking Soviet Union as well, by the way. And then I start telling her about like the Labour theory of value. And I said, I make you money. You pay me, but I make more money than you pay me. So don't lecture me about how I should be grateful for you exploiting my labour. I said that to her face. And I was basically just going off on a communist rant against her. And then I was like, I'm in a union as well. I was like, you can't fire me for any of this shit because I've got the union and I'll go to the council and I'll tell them what you're doing. And then that made her back down a bit. But sadly, when I talked to my union, because no one else was in a union, in the journalists union in the UK, like national, I don't even remember what it's called, NUJ or whatever. And they just said, we can't really do anything, but you can go to local council and like whistle blow. But then I was like, I can't be fucked with all that drama. Like my mental health is in the toilet. I'm so fucking tired. Like I barely slept when doing my YouTube while working full time. Like I really, really didn't prioritize my mental health. And then I cleaned out my desk and I was like, I'm not coming back into this office. Like if she backs down and lets us work from home, I'm still quitting. But if she says you've got to come back, I'm gone. I'm not working here anymore. So I remember I didn't tell anyone and I took the day off for the next day. So it was the election, 2020 election. I was going to cover it on YouTube. So I already taken the day off. So I didn't have to deal with that consequences. So I just cleaned out my desk, logged off everything, deleted loads of stuff off the computer. And I was like, I am not fucking coming back here. And then I walked out and then got an email on my day off saying, work from home for everyone but the sales team. So then I was like, okay, I'll work from home, but I'm working my notice. I'm working 4 weeks and I'm gone. And that's what I did. I worked my notice, worked from home, banned out YouTube again, didn't talk to my boss ever again. And then I quit my job. And in hindsight, it's like the best decision I ever made, obviously. But at the time, it was horrible. I actually had so much stress and anxiety. I remember I went to my girlfriend's house and I ate some food. So I thought it was the food. And my chest was hurting so much. And then I felt like I hallucinated this, but I'm pretty sure I woke up in the middle of the night sweating with my chest really hurting like I was having a heart attack. And I already had like really bad neurological problems, which I now realize is a result of OCD I didn't realize I had. And I could talk about that in another video. But anyway, and then I had to go to the hospital, checking out my heart and stuff, told the doctor everything that happened. Oh yeah, I also didn't mention this. In October 2019, an accident at football, I broke my nose and cut my head open. And I don't know if you guys realize, but my nose is broken. And some people sometimes comment about my eyebrows. It's this one. And they say like, what have you done to your eyebrows? Have you cut it? That's a massive scar in my head. If you go on my Instagram, you can see the picture of me with all the blood on. So I had that. And then I was in a car crash as well the day after my birthday. And then people just lying about who caused the car crash. It wasn't me. I got shunted into another car, like when I was stopped in like a traffic jam. And then I was dealing with this stuff at work. And then she was like, no wonder you feel terrible, like, because you're just having such a stressful life right now. And then, so I quit my job and it was a week after my 25th birthday. And I just said to myself, December, I'm having off. Like, I'm going to make some YouTube videos, not going to stress too much. And then I said, I'm having this month kind of off. January to March, I'm going to tell my parents I'm applying for jobs. I'm not applying for any jobs. I'm just doing YouTube. I'm doing YouTube full time now. I'm not making any money, but I'm doing it full time. I'm going to be a full time YouTuber. I told myself, I said, I know I can be. And at this time, how many subs did I have? 12. I had 12k subs. And the best thing happened, right? So I made a video. It was like kind of rehashing some old ones. And it was something about like the far right, bronies and furries. Some sort of update on it, right? And me and my girlfriend's anniversary is on the 2nd of January. And I had this video to go out while we were out. And we had a really nice walk around where my old university is. And we, had a really nice day for our university for our anniversary. And then the video started blowing up, like randomly blowing up. And I was like, this is my first video of doing YouTube full time. And this is a sign, it's blowing up. Like it got like, I think I had to delete it in the end because some sort of copyright stuff with these like horrible far right types. But it got like 50k views in like one day. And then eventually we got like 110k. And I was getting loads of subs. I got 15k subs, 15k. I hit 15k in my first week of working. I just kept making videos about different far right groups. And none of these videos are monetized, but they were going viral. And I was getting loads of subs. And by the end of January, I had 20k. So I'd already gone from 12 to 20k in my first month of working full time. And then I was just like, I've got to do this now. Like I've got this momentum. And then I remember I told my parents, like, I'm doing this full time. I'm not even looking for a job. And I know I can make this work. And then I eventually got the money up enough where it wasn't great, but it was okay. I had my Patreon growing and I started developing an audience. And then that's just kind of like where it starts. That's me doing it full time. That's 2021. 2 years on, I'm now on 2 years and a bit. I'm now on 100k. Firmly established myself. Millions of views. I don't even know how many millions. Like, was it 10 million? Might be like 13 million. I don't even fucking know at this point. The thing is, obviously, over the 2 years, I've learned things. I've done certain things. I've made videos I'm proud of. I've learned what works. I've learned what doesn't. I've changed how I do like titles. I've changed maybe how I even talk and how I present myself. But I guess 2 years ago is when the modern Kavernacle 1.0, like the path to 100k started. There's obviously been lots of issues. I've spoken in my video at Christmas. I said, I wish I didn't let YouTube affect my health so much, my mindset about certain things, which is still true. But I think I developed like a lot of a better mindset around it generally. And I'm glad I hit 100 because this has been weighing on me for like maybe a year at this point, like the goal to 100. And like, I need to hit 100 because 100 is like, it's not my ceiling, but it feels like it's my ceiling in terms of this is the only milestone I'll hit on YouTube. Like maybe one day I'll hit 200k. I don't see that happening anytime soon. I don't see that happening in the near future. And 100k just looks nice. You can get a verified tick, you get the nice plaque, and it's just like a legit number, isn't it? Like 100k, it's respectable. It shows that you have some sort of authority on something. It shows that you're popular enough, which is good for your YouTube channel, obviously. It's really weird. I guess the main thing is when I talk about all of this, I'm talking to you about times where I had hardly any subscribers and couldn't even break 100 views in a video sometimes. And now I'm getting upset if a video doesn't hit like 20k in 24 hours or something like that. And yeah, it's just amazing how desensitized you get to success. Like telling myself 3 years ago, like it's not even 3 years ago, it's like 2.5 years ago, that I would hit 100k, like wouldn't believe it. Even doing it full time, like as early as I did, they wouldn't believe it myself. And I always knew I was good. And that's the thing I think you need to remember, like self-confidence. I knew I was good. And I would obviously say my content is way better now, but I knew I was good. And I knew if I could find my audience, I could have the audience. I didn't think I was bad. I didn't think like I'm a failure because my content sucks. It's more about like, I need to just grind. I need to find out what works. I need to find out what people like to watch, what does well in the algorithm, what people want to hear me talk about specifically. And I guess what I love most on YouTube, what my favorite things are, is when you make a video which you think will do really shit and does really good. So for me recently, a couple will come to mind. My Last of Us one, getting like 100k views. Like absolutely love that. Like I love The Last of Us. I love talking about The Last of Us. To make a video on The Last of Us and get 100k views, insane. My video about CrossFit, I was a bit apprehensive about because it's like a sporty thing. I don't think many of my community really like sports that much. And then I make it and it does really well. I make a video on like, what else have I done recently? Some gaming stuff. and he does really well. My Conservapedia video about like left-wing video games, that did really well. Even my video about the World Cup did respectable. And that means a lot to me because I love football and I love talking about football. So making a video on my politics YouTube channel about football and it doing pretty well, like, it's just amazing. So I guess that's like part of the fun things now, because sometimes videos flop. Like I had a video flop this week, my Mr. Beast and Logan Paul president one. But then, you know, you just forget about it. But yeah, that's my journey to 100k, I guess. And that's my journey. And like, the reason I stopped about 2.5 years ago, because nothing really changes. Like I made 3 videos a week for 2.5 years. Like I used to live stream 2 times a week. I'm not really feeling that at the moment. Maybe I'll go back to it. I don't want to talk about the traveling too much, but obviously I lived in Spain from January to April 2022. And I lived in Southeast Asia from September 2022 to April 2023. So a lot of it's been out of the country, but I've spoke about that in like a video, I think, or a live stream, where just talking about like, you know, the various stresses and how that feels. I think I spoke about it on my video, my end of year review, and something about YouTuber capitalism. So if you care about how I feel about traveling and doing YouTube, I've made videos about that in the past. So yeah, that's my story to 100k, and a bit all over the place. I know it seemed like it was going one way and then went the other. And I would say, like I said, my main influences, TYT, and it inspired me to do YouTube, but so did like gaming YouTube as well. And I'm really grateful, of course, to a lot of the people who feature me on their channel. But the one thing I will say is I don't know if I've internalized some sort of like capitalist Protestant work ethic. What I'm so proud about my YouTube channel is I didn't create drama. I barely covered drama. I didn't collab with people. I didn't rely on collabs with people. I didn't rely on cross-pollination. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, right? I see some YouTubers who have gotten really big because they've cross-pollinated. And that means getting other creators in your video who are bigger, so you bring their audience over. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually the smart thing to do because you grow an audience quicker, right? I'm too proud for that. I don't want a handout. And like I said, it's some internalized capitalist Protestant shit. Like I'm not even raised Protestant and I still get it. And I'm so proud that I didn't rely on anyone. Like no one's going to say, oh, the Kavernacle, he's only big because of his relationship with this guy. And they're always on the same, you know, they're always on his channel. The Kavernacle, he's only big because he started this drama with this person. Like I've never done that. And my goal when I started my channel seriously, or I took my, you know, full-time career on YouTube seriously in 2021 is don't do the drama. Don't become like a Twitch bro. Don't become a debate bro, because that is popular in this niche, but don't do it because it's not worth it, right? And sometimes I admit I strayed into drama. Sometimes I've made videos about creators that I don't like. But then I quickly realized I don't want to do that. Like, although it was, I think, appropriate to debunk their argument, I feel like what happens a lot of the time with that is it just becomes about who do you like more? Do you like the Kavernacle or do you like this guy more? It doesn't become about the argument anymore. And I find that even when I criticize Hassan sometimes, they're like, oh, jealous, you know, whatever. You just hate him for some reason. And I like him better than you, so I'm going to take his side. Like, that's why I don't really do it. I don't think left-wing YouTubers and Twitch streamers are immune from being clout chasers. And there's actually some that I've kind of come up with as well, who I've looked at and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, seriously, is this the content you want to make? But then I'm thinking, like, they're just thinking about growing their brand and growing their channel and Twitch stream. They're not thinking about, like, their ethics or if it's quality content or if it's helpful or even entertaining. I guess they're just thinking about how do I get as many clicks as possible. And it's disappointing when that happens. But yeah, like, I'm proud of myself because didn't create drama, didn't even really cover drama, didn't rely on anyone else, didn't have to use people to get up the ladder. It's all based on my own work. And like, should I even be proud of that? Because I am proud of that, but I know it sounds a bit silly, right? Like, I'm sure if I reached out to the people I wouldn't say I'm friends with, but I kind of know on like lefty YouTube, if I reached out to people and said, do you want to come on my channel or do you want to collab with me and make a video? They would probably be totally fine with it. I'm sure they would do it. If I asked, like, you know, me and Mike have collabed on some things on like other live streams. I've been on his channel again and we went on another channel together. If I said, do you want to collab with me? He'd do it. There's a couple other people I talk to in DM sometimes. I'm sure they do it as well. I'm both too proud and I don't want to make people do things I don't want to as well. So yeah, like I said, I'm glad I did it all on my own. And also why I like that is because I've put so much work into this channel. Like I said, I really I really had forsaken my mental health when I was working full time. Like, I barely slept. I slept like 4 hours a night because I was making YouTube videos, exercising, playing football, all this stuff. And I'm not, I'm saying that maybe I wouldn't be successful without it, but I'm sure I could have done it in a healthier way. It would have just taken longer. But like I said, yeah, proud of my achievement, proud of my work ethic, how I got there, and just, I think I did it. I guess the main thing is I think I did it the right way. And I don't think anyone can be like, criticize the way I've like got 100k. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I said, drama, like collabing with bad people or using people or any of that stuff. I think I've been quite good. But also shout out to the people who have featured me, like, or collab with me. FD Signifier, Mike from the Humanist Report, Amy C3. We've collabed a couple times, and I've really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say anything I've really done. Maybe FD Signifier got me like a little boost in subs, I'd say, but I'm not sure about anything else gave me like a massive rise in subs. Not that I did it for that at all. And also, like, I've enjoyed going on a lot smaller channels, because I've been on loads of smaller channels. I'm pretty sure I've collabed with way more smaller creators when I have collabed with bigger creators. But yeah, just in terms of you guys watching, thanks so much for the support. I read most of the comments, don't reply to all of them. Patreons or patrons past and present, thanks so much for the support. Thanks to all the, I guess, nice comments, messages, all this stuff throughout the years. It is really, really nice. Obviously one of the highlights was someone actually fucking recognizing me in Hanoi, coming up to me and telling me they like my videos. Like, that was so fucking cool. People messaging me saying we should meet up when I was traveling. I've explained why, I've kind of said no to a lot of those, but like, I do really appreciate people reaching out. And I guess it comes to what next? It's like Finding Nemo when Gil gets out of the fish tank. Like, what next? What is happening next? So I guess we're entering Kavernacle 2.0, and it's going to be pretty similar. The main thing I wanted to do was the podcast, and I'm doing that, and you're watching it, so that's good. Like I said, the way I'm going to structure it is like seasons, so I don't get burnt out, and then I can put it down as well if I don't feel like it. I don't really want to be locked in. And then I want to make my own merch as well. Like, there's a worker co-op I've been meaning to work with for a long time, for finally get out some merch. And I'm using a worker co-op, so I'm not going to be making a bunch of money. I just want to make merch, and I think it's cool, and I hope you guys like it. And if you buy it, you'll know that it's going to be distributed evenly between everyone working on it, because I don't want to exploit anyone. I'm not in this for capitalism. I'm not in this for profit. I'm just in this because I like it, and I want to do it as a job. But I've done it for years when it wasn't a job, and I'd do it if it wasn't a job as well. That's how much I do enjoy this stuff. And I guess the main thing is, growing my Patreon in the long term would enable me to do less videos, and that wouldn't mean I'm working less, but I would like to make 2 videos a week instead of 3, but higher quality and more structured. And I don't script any of my videos, so maybe planning some stuff a bit better I would like. But at the moment, it's tolerable. 3 videos a week, I'm used to it, it's fine. Like doing this way more than any other job I've had. So, and I'm my own boss as well. And you get the personal validation, people telling you nice things, seeing view counts, and yeah, I can't really ask for more, to be honest. So thank you all for allowing me to do this. I hope you enjoy my videos as well, and maybe you'll start enjoying the podcast. And this is the first episode of the podcast, and I know it's not great at the moment. I know it needs to be better, but I hope you enjoyed me recounting my YouTube life story. And if there's anyone who remembers most of that, like, massive shout out if you actually remember, like, subscribing to me with like 4k subs or 6k subs or whatever, because being around that long and actually still liking my content is pretty amazing. I know there's a couple of you, because I sometimes see you in the comments. I will never forget you. I'm going to do 1 video a month podcast on my second channel. It's not going to be on this channel. It's going to be on my second channel, the Kavernacle Extra, and then 1 on Patreon as well. So that's what the podcast is going forward. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. This is on the main channel. Probably not going to get as many views as I want it to, but I'd appreciate it if you made it this far. And yeah, let me know what you think about everything I've just said. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you in my next podcast.